If you love American music, you're going to love this. Welcome to American Music Backstage, the podcast that takes you where fans rarely get to go, behind the curtain. I'm your host, Kenneth Witt, and I sit down with fans, musicians, artists from across the country to talk about life on the road, the stories behind the songs, and what really happens backstage before the show. From rising stars to seasoned performers, you'll hear the journeys, the struggles, and the moments that made the music. American Music Backstage with me, Kenneth Witt, available wherever you get your podcast. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the Kenneth Witt Podcast, and I'm here today with one of my heroes, one of the finest acoustic guitar players on the planet, and he's also a fellow Kentuckian. Anyway, he doesn't need a lot of introduction in my neck of the woods. How about you, Mr. Josh Williams?
Hello. Hey, I'm thankful to be here, Kenneth. Appreciate you asking me.
You're so welcome. Josh, I know you're busy, man, but you came in the scene when I was kind of getting out of bluegrass, and just when did you get started?
Oh, Lord. My first recording came out when I was 10. So I've been doing it a long time.
Yes. And I remember seeing you play it somewhere at Spigma.
Mm-hmm.
At the hotel. It's the first time I saw you, and you were a kid then. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the first time that I was ever at IBMA or Spigma, either one, I think was around probably around 1991, I think. So
yes. Well, my first time was 92, so that's right. And I always mixed you up with Cody Kilby.
That happened a lot.
Yes, and he was sitting on a stool playing in the lobby at Embassy Suite, Sheridan Music City,
mm-hmm.
at Spigma, and selling tapes. Or was that you?
No, that would have been him. Yeah.
Okay. And that would have been 92, pretty sure.
Yep. Yeah, Cody and I grew up playing against each other in contests. So we used to be each other's rivals, which was anytime we saw each other at a contest or whatever, it was always the same. And for me anyway, it was always, oh man, Cody's here. That means, I'm either going to get second or I'm going to have to really, really, really bust my butt, And come to find out, as we got older and started actually becoming friends and playing some music together, it came to find out that he would literally say the same thing to his dad whenever I was there. So It was funny, Yeah.
Is he from Kentucky or Tennessee?
He grew up in Cowan, Tennessee.
Okay. And then what part of the state are you from?
So I was born in Murray, Kentucky, way on the far end of far western end, down in the Jackson Purchase area. So I was born there. I was raised in Benton, which is about 20 miles south of Paducah. And a lot of people know Murray these days because Chris Thiele, his family relocated from California to Murray, Kentucky.
Now, he was in that, you are in that generation, around the same age?
Yes. Yeah. Cody, Chris, and I are all the same age. And Mike Cleveland.
Wow.
In fact, in 1993, myself and Cody and Chris and Mike Cleveland, and then another young fellow by the name of Brady Stogdell, were all chosen to be a part of a kids band that Pete Warnick put together. And I had met Pete from going to his banjo clinics and stuff. I was, an aspiring banjo player when I was growing up, as well as the other instruments, but mostly banjo was what I liked to play. And so I met Pete through that. And then through when Pete was putting all this together, I had told my dad, well, they need to get Cody for this, because they needed a guitar player. And then, of course, I had also played a lot of music at that point with Mike Cleveland. He and I are also the same age, and he's just a couple of months older. But so that kind of put it all together, and we performed on the award show in IBMA in 1993. And that was what they called the Bluegrass Youth All-Stars.
Yeah. Well, I went to Pete Wernick's banjo camp in 1995 at Merle Fest.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. I didn't go to Merle Fest. That was one festival that was at the time a little farther than we could make it. But I went to one in Owensboro, Kentucky, and then I went to another one. I can't remember where the other one was at. But I got to know Pete pretty well. Of course, I was a huge fan of Hot Rise, back then, which was, I think they had just disbanded, whenever I was really hanging out with Pete quite a bit. But just a huge fan of his, and he was so knowledgeable. Even though when you hear him play, he didn't sound like, anybody else. He had kind of his own style, but he was so good at explaining things and making you understand it. So I went to
he was a great teacher.
Yeah.
I got a confession, Josh. So moved out to West Texas in 2012 to be a landman because of coal mining in Eastern Kentucky. It wasn't a lot of money, and I was practicing law and, getting hungry.
Yeah.
So I had to move out here, make a better living.
Yeah.
Anyway, bluegrass is few and far between in Midland, Texas. No festivals, no jams. And I found these ranchers in New Mexico through work who own the longest family-owned ranch in the state's history.
Wow.
It's called the Merchant Livestock Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
It's with state and public land, or leased land and private land. It's about 100,000 rough acres. Wow. And they're Clay Pearson and his brother Tom. And they were huge bluegrass fans, and their daughter had gone to Western. Well, man, I turned them on to you. You got to hear this kid. And it was your YouTube video with Rhonda Vincent playing Mule Skinner Blues.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at your analytics, you probably put me in as a stalker, man. Like I've shared that with so many people, and because they were just big fans. So you got to see this guy on guitar, man. He's bad. Because we were talking about Tony Rice. It's like, hey, man, there's new people out now that's just as good.
Well, shoot, thank you. So when I was about 14 or 15. Maybe not even quite that old. A friend of mine here locally who I played some music with, he acquired Tony Rice's. It was a homespun video that he did in the late 80s. It was called An Intimate Lesson with Tony Rice.
Yes.
And it was the coolest thing ever. And when I saw that for the first time, I was like, this guy is unbelievably cool. And so my buddy, who was actually playing guitar with me at the time, I was playing banjo again primarily. He started, with the tablature and stuff. I've never been able to read tablature very well, so I would always learn by watching. So I would watch him figure it out by the tablature, watch the video of Tony playing, and then I would, be able to play it. But when I saw him, that was like when, okay, I kind of want to do this too, so I started working on guitar a lot more, and it was just simply because of seeing that thing of Tony. And so as I grew up and I got to my latter teens, I got my first job playing on the road full time with the Special Consensus based out of Chicago. And I got to where I was out and getting to see a lot of folks and stuff. I was actually, during that time, Greg Cahill was the leader of the Special Consensus, so the banjo gig wasn't open. So I ended up taking the mandolin gig. And that got me out there to where I was hanging out regularly with people. When I was, backtrack just for a second, when I was about, I was 10 or 11 years old, and I had I met J.D. Crowe for the first time. And the very first thing out of his mouth was, "You're a banjo picker. I've heard of you." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and I'm a kid, right?
Yeah.
And he said, "I bet you know Steve Chandler." And I said, I do know Steve. I had just started working with Steve on recording a project, and Steve was the recording engineer. Well, Steve and Crowe were very close friends. Steve had basically engineered every single J.D. Crowe record since the "You Can Share My Blanket" album, which came out in 1977 or 78. So they were really tight. So whenever I met Crowe, obviously Steve had already told Crowe, about me and stuff. And so Crowe immediately, he was obviously my hero, but he immediately became a friend. And not one time during any of that did he ever talk down to me like I was a kid. He always talked to me like I was a quote unquote fellow musician. And I always thought that was the coolest. So when I got up to be in my latter teens and probably around the age of 20, Crowe called me. We had a weekend where I was going to be at the same festival that he was at, and Ricky Wasson, who was playing with him at the time, could not make it. He wanted to know if I would play guitar and sing lead with the New South. And I was like, oh my God, of course. My dad, I was still living here at home in Kentucky. I hadn't moved to Nashville yet. My dad was still living, and he was the one that answered the phone call when Crowe called. And I was actually outside working on this old, like 1982 GMC Sierra that I had bought, just a four-wheel drive clunker. And I was trying to work on it, get some stuff going on it. And anyway, I remember my dad hollering at me from the back of the house and saying, J.D. Crowe's on the phone. You need to get up here now. And I was like, what's going on? He said, he wants you to play with him. And I was like, what? So it was like big dream come true, right? Because after watching this video of Tony's, it set me into this, I got to know more about this Tony Rice. And then I was like, holy crap, he used to play with Crowe, and so anyway, I got to stand in the same spot that, Ricky Wasson had stood in for years, but Tony Rice stood in and Keith Whitley stood in, all of these different, people that were influential on me. And I ended up doing that like 4 or 5 times over the course of, years with Crowe. And my oldest son, Weldon, he's 15 now. But when he was a toddler, I was working in the studio with Crowe on my Modern Day Man album, and Crowe produced it. And this just tells you how close we were. When my son would come into the studio, he would just toddle up to Crowe, and Crowe pick him up and put him in his lap, and the two of them would just sit there and listen and produce and all that kind of stuff. And for the first 4 or 5 years of Weldon's life, he didn't realize that wasn't one of his grandparents.
Wow.
But at the same time, we could be listening to something, and even when he had just a little bit of vocabulary, wasn't talking a whole lot, I could play something on the radio. And I could say, who is that? And he'd say, Crowe. So,
wow.
It was just, he was like family, Crowe was. And, but after I had been with Special Consensus, Rhonda Vincent called, wanted me to try out on the guitar. I'd never had a guitar gig at that point. So I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. I was pretty happy with Special C where I was at. And then she told me what she was going to pay me. And I was like, okay, I'll try out.
Yeah, I'll play kazoo.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I'll figure this out, and I went ahead. As soon as I got there, I told Greg, that she had called and, wanted me to try out, and here's what she was going to pay me. And Greg, being up in the driver's seat, when he picked me up at the airport, he just dropped his head. Just did one of those, because all I'm looking at him from back here, and all I see is, and he said, Joshy, I wish I could pay you that to keep you, you know, but I can't. You got to go do it, you know? And so I was like, okay, you know, I've got the support from, you know, my current boss to go try out. And I ended up with the gig. And, but during all of that time, right at that moment was where I really met Tony for the first time, Tony Rice. And I remember meeting him backstage at the IBMA Awards show. And ironically, it was the same year that we had done a reunion of the Bluegrass Youth All-Stars. So it was me and Thiele and Cody and Mike Cleveland and Brady Stogdell. We were all there to perform. And they had a new cast of young people that were performing there that night as well, as like the continuation of it. And that group included Will Jones, and who's a great singer from over in North Carolina, Corey Walker, awesome banjo player. Sierra Hull was in that group, you know, so it was cool having all that going on at the same time. But I got to meet Tony back then, you know, and I told him, like, I've actually, the last few weeks I've been filling in with Crow, and I'll never forget what he said. And he, you know, I told him about that. I said, I'm playing guitar and singing lead. And he said, well, it's better you than me. You know, yeah. So it's like, okay. But he ended up being like so cool. And the coolest part for me was when we would be at the same festival or something, he sought me out. And if I was around, whoever that he was close by or had playing with him at that festival, he would send them out to go find me. So I got to, you know, come back and hang with him for a while. And then that started after leaving Rhonda Vincent's band the first time. I ended up going on the road playing mandolin for Tony.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a small world, and it's crazy how all those years of all of that led up to that moment. And I was the last, in the last configuration of the Tony Rice unit. So I played
What was
mandolin.
that like, Josh?
Oh, it was, I always tell people the same thing. It's exactly as awesome as you think it would be times a million, because you don't realize how awesome it is until you're actually there doing it, you know? And even then, like, even at times, I got to play with the Bluegrass album band the last times that they performed. And I was there because Tony couldn't sing, so I was the singer. And those times, of course, I'm standing right between Crow and Tony, who I worked with regularly at this point, you know, so it's like a few minutes into the show, I'm realizing, holy crap, I'm realizing what's happening here, you know, and I just get overcome with emotion because I'm up here standing in between two legends who who were close to me. But I also realize all of the stuff that these five guys up here on stage have done together. And yeah, it was just overwhelming, man. It was the coolest experience ever.
But Josh, I read an article once. I'm pretty sure I remember this correctly. And they were interviewing Tony Rice, and he had said that he learned more about musicianship playing with J.D. Crowe than everything else he'd ever done.
Yeah.
So how did playing with those greats make you even better? Because you were a prodigy kid.
Yeah.
But how did that affect your playing?
So it literally, first off, the first maybe handful of times that I did any of those things were pretty rough and rocky. You know what I mean? Because I was so nervous and, just worried about, oh my gosh, what if I mess up, or what if just a lot of fear, nervousness. And when I got to do those things over time, you get used to it, In fact, it's even really easy to take the whole thing for granted, once you get used to something. But playing with Crow, whether you want it to do this or not, it instills a sense of timing in your brain that you cannot, you can't refute. Like, it is there. There's nothing you can do about it. Either get with it or get out. And so that helped me in that retrospect, especially going to Tony later on, because one of the things that I've learned about playing with Tony was you constantly have to listen and count and be mindful of the song, because there's going to be times that Tony's going to take off in the left field and you're not going to be able to follow a melody. So, but the moment that you lose track of where you are, then my eyes will cut over it, and he doesn't want the timing to move anywhere at all. And another thing that made me nervous was a friend of mine. I won't say who it was, but he got to play with him one time when Tony came out with the band he was touring with at the time. And they were playing something, and Tony was kind of getting out in the left field, and the timing started getting a little weird. And Tony stopped playing and looked over at him and said, "Hold it," and then started playing again. So he was like, "Oh my gosh," it freaked him out completely. So I already had that in my mind. I was like, the last thing I want is for him to be like, I put you in this place because I believed in you. Don't let me down. I didn't want any of that going on. So it helped me. Playing with Tony kind of opened up a whole realm of possibilities as far as playing style. Because when I was playing mandolin, I always kind of veered towards a Sam Bush type of sound, because that's what I grew up listening to, especially with playing Tony records. Sam Bush is on a big majority of that. So that was already a huge influence on me, but it caught me going back to that and kind of revisiting the whole thing. But also Tony's whole thing was, bring something new in that nobody else had ever done. And a couple of times, and we never had a conversation about this. I don't know if he liked it or if he didn't like it, and it could easily go either way. But there were some times when we would be playing something and Tony would play it completely different, so it wouldn't sound like he played it on the album or whatever. So one song in particular that we did was Wayfaring Stranger, and I played on the mandolin it was note for note how he played it on the record. And he kind of looked over at me and kind of, grinned a little bit. And then the next time that he played a solo, it was that solo from the record. So again, I don't know if he was just like, don't do that again. Or if it was, oh, this cat knows what I played. Let me play that so I can show him I can still cut his rear end, So I don't know, but it opened up this creativity thing that, before I wasn't able to really get a hold of. There was times, when you're in your 20s and stuff and you experimenting with drinking and drugs, you think you can do that. But like with the music and plain and simple only music, Tony was the one that taught me how to get to that point without, anything else other than just the love for the music and the emotion that the music invokes. And, I have Tony to thank for all of that, being able to do that stuff.
I think this is a great time, Josh, for you to jerk out your guitar.
No, I got it right here, man. I was.
Oh, please, man.
I was wondering,
Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, I had it ready. In fact, if you look at this particular guitar, it's pretty reminiscent of Tony's, with the larger sound hole and the plain fingerboard and all that, This is actually
what guitar. Are you playing?
It's a Bourgeois. Yeah. Dana Bourgeois built this for me back in 2020, and been my main axe ever since, man. I love it. Check this, and it's a Brazilian one. I have to show this off. Check this sap stripe on the back of it. Isn't that killer? I love that, man. But anyway, yeah. So I have it ready. I have my pick here. In fact, let me use this one. Let me rearrange my mic here so you can kind of hear both. There we go. What do you want to hear, man? I'll play whatever you want.
Gosh, Josh, you pick, man, because I like everything you do, and I mean that sincerely. Are you tired of hearing the same songs over and over? It's time for real Texas country. Turn up txcountrymusic.com, streaming free 24/7 from the cowboy capital of the world, Stephenville, Texas. From Texas legends to the hottest red dirt artists, this is the music Nashville wishes it still made. No subscriptions, no monthly fees, just authentic Texas country music anytime, anywhere. At work, in your truck, at the ranch, on the road. And the best part, you can listen anywhere in the world right from your phone, smart speaker, or computer. Stop settling for corporate playlists and hear country music the way it was meant to sound. Listen now at txcountrymusic.com. Texas country lives here.
Well, thanks, man. There's a song that, I had a lot of different influences growing up. Tony and Crow were probably the biggest, but I also was a fan of some of the music that came out from the West at that time, which was Burline, Crary, and Hickman. They were a big influence on me. Of course, Hot Rise. But when Burline, Crary, and Hickman hired a couple of extra guys in their band, they became a group called California. And a song that they did, and I fell in love with it immediately when I first got this cassette. That tells you how long ago it was. And it was a song that ended up being a true story, and I re-recorded it on my first solo project, but I still, to this day, get a lot of requests for it. And it's a song about a family that moved out to Beaumont, California, and opened a little roadside motel. And then with the invention of the interstate, it basically killed their living, But that's the song that's coming to my head right now, and I love it, and I'll do it for you right now. It's called The Moonlight Motor Inn. In 46, we moved out here to Beaumont to start a little business of our own. They built the freeway through in 62. Everything we had's now lost and gone. I see them in the distance from my window. Their faces in the cars look straight ahead. They roll on by too loud for comfort, but too far away to rent a motel bed. So if you're passing on your way from Palm Springs to LA, give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to Progress and goodbye to the Moonlight Motor Inn. Mother's sleeping in her bedroom. Her TV shows are the only life she has. And our son's now a captain in the Air Force, but he can't find the time to ride his proud old dad. And our daughter wants to leave the place at 18 and run away with a jobless Beaumont man. Hitchhike out of California and make a life in the Rocky Mountain land. So if you're passing on your way from Palm Springs to LA, give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to Progress and goodbye to the Moonlight Motor Inn. sun comes up behind the freeway and sets down by the dried up swimming pool. Can't make the payments on the mortgage, can't turn the red ink into blue. The weeds are growing through the gravel, the blacktop's cracked and partly washed away, and our neon sign points in the wrong direction. The moonlight motor inn closed down today. So if you're passing on your way from Palm Springs to LA, give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to Progress and goodbye to the Moonlight Motor Inn. Give a wave to good old Dave. Say hello to Progress and goodbye to the Moonlight Motor Inn.
Yeah. Man. Hey, Josh, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Like, again, I've been in West Texas, like secluded from Bluegrass. So.
Right.
Man, hold it. Before you go, at least give me a line, man, of Blue Railroad Train.
Oh, I can do that. Let's see.
I love that. I love to hear you play it, man.
Get up here where that goes. And that one, was one that I learned from Tony and ended up getting to record with him. So, and it went on the charts. It only went on the charts for 1 week, but it was at number 1 that week. So
really?
Yeah. I don't know how that works, but it worked out. So
you'll take it.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. So here we go. I'll try a little bit of it. Track. It makes me feel so doggone blue to listen to that old smokestack. The drivers are rolling on, leaving me here behind. Give me back them good old days and let me ramble down the line. Train, you're a good old pal to me. Take me everywhere that I wanna go, give me transportation free. Blue railroad train, blue railroad train, blue railroad train.
Yeah, oh man, just got chill bumps, man.
Oh man,
I love that song.
Oh, me too. Delmore Brothers, man.
Oh, so Josh, I had a question.
Yeah,
but it's already been answered. I was going to say, what heroes you got to play with. Well, now we know.
Yeah.
What's been some other just amazing moments in your musical career that's just like, oh man, I'm playing with a legend?
Well, yeah, highlights in my musical career. 3 years I won IBMA Guitar Player of the Year in 08, 09, and 2010. That was a huge highlight. I got to win a Grammy with Rhonda when I was there the second time in 2017 or 2018. The Grammys were in February of 18 for 2017. But anyway, we got we ended up tying for best bluegrass album along with the infamous String Dusters. And of course, everybody was like, well, if two people won, nobody really won. And it's like, you know, the five of them and the six of us have trophies at our house that say otherwise.
That's right. You got a Grammy.
Yeah, that's right. But, you know, I've gotten to play with Dolly Parton. I've gotten to play with Vince Gill. I've gotten to play with Ricky Skaggs. Probably one of my biggest highlights, as far as that goes, was when I played with Ricky Skaggs. And Ricky, I was still with Rhonda at the time, and we were all on stage. His band was there, Rhonda's band. I think James King was there and stuff. Mm-hmm. So as a big finale, they wanted everybody on stage together. So we ended up doing like Will the Circle Be Unbroken or whatever. So Ricky sings it, Rhonda sings it. He brings James King up to sing a verse, and then he looks at me and says, Josh, sing a verse. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. So I jump up there and I sing, you know, a verse to Will the Circle Be Unbroken. And this is on Ricky's mic. So it's right in the middle, and it's right, you know, it's the only one on stage that was like a decent height for me anyway. And so when the chorus comes up, Rhonda is on this side of me singing a high baritone. Ricky leans in, shares the mic with me, and is singing tenor to me singing lead on this song. And that was unbelievable. And you know, you don't hear Ricky sing a lot of tenor anymore anyway these days, but when he did that, that was like, I have arrived, you know, that type of feeling that I got when I was standing on stage, even with the album band, you know, getting to do that. And you know, like one of the shows that I played with the album band, of course, Bobby Hicks, who is a known prankster anyway, you know, and miss him a whole lot. Crazy thing is most of these guys now are gone. So I'm very grateful that I had the opportunities that I've had. But, so we're standing, it was right before the first time I played with the album band. He comes up behind me, he puts his arm around me. He says, are you nervous? You know, he had this big, deep voice. He said, are you nervous? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty nervous. And he slaps me on the back and he says, good, don't mess up. You know, and it's like, gee, thanks, Bobby. You know, I'm already worried about that, but that feeling that you get when you're up there doing those things, you know, like I said earlier, I was just overcome with emotion, realizing I'm standing up here singing lead to the songs that I grew up listening to Tony sing, you know, with the guys that he did that with, you know, and having Doyle Lawson singing tenor to me, you know, that's like the situation with Ricky. It was yet another thing where it's like, you know, that's so cool. And I think playing with Tony also, it showed other people. I think I became bona fide, if you will, at that point, you know, because I think people saw, hey, Tony's got this guy with him. He thinks enough of him. He respects him enough. Obviously, this guy's, you know, he's worth some respect, and lots of stuff changed at that point, you know, and just all these people, you know, start reaching out and wanting to hang out and wanting to pick, you know, and like I say, I knew a lot of them already, but something changed during that point, you know, and I got a lot closer to Ricky. I got a lot closer to Sam Bush. I got a lot closer to Flux, to Jerry Douglas. And I think that was what did it, you know, was the fact that I was playing with Tony. So all of these guys that I looked up to as my heroes became my friends.
Wow.
And that's the best part about bluegrass, man. That doesn't happen in other genres, you know. I mean, maybe it does a little bit, but not like this, you know.
Yeah, you got like a double anointing.
Yeah.
Crow and Tony.
Yeah, that's what it felt like,
So,
you know.
I got to know this. I never talked to anybody that's played with her. Tell me what it's like to play with Dolly.
It's super easy. She's so laid back. She's so I got to do it a few times when I was with Rhonda, and in fact, we even got to do one of Rhonda's music videos that she recorded a song with Dolly, and she and Dolly shot the music video together. And I remember, you know, sitting in Dolly's chair while they're out there shooting. And then, of course, they take a break and Dolly starts walking this way. And I'm like, oh, I'm in her chair, and I get up and I said, sorry about that, Miss Dolly. I was just keeping your seat warm for you. And she said, your bony ass ain't going to keep nothing warm. So she's just so much fun. She's just so laid back, and anytime you see her in a movie, on a TV show, in an interview, at Walmart, she's always the same. It doesn't matter, and I have such respect for her because of that, because a lot of people, when they get a lot of the exposure and stuff, they change, and
yes,
people that seemed important at one point, no longer so important. But she's not that way. She's just always been. She loves bluegrass. She loves the fact that the bluegrass pickers are the ones that really pick, and she grew up singing it too. So, I mean, she's just really cool and really laid back and fun to be around.
Who's your favorite non-bluegrass guitar player?
Ooh. Non-bluegrass. There's a lot of them, man, because of the different genres of music that I tend to listen to. So, in any genre of music, Vince Gill is one of the best guitar players on the planet, I think. Tommy Emmanuel is a great guitar player because he can play any style, any genre. One of my all-time favorites is Jack Pearson. Because he was with the Allman Brothers. Then, but he also loves bluegrass. So he has this cool rock and roll country bluegrass thing that he does. And, I was a big fan of Dickie Betts, and I was a big fan of Warren Haynes. Love those guys playing. Of course, Derek Trucks is a great player these days. Of course, he learned from all of the above, from, being, his dad playing with the Allman Brothers as well. So, yeah, just a lot of great players out there, man.
What's the rest of 2026 look like for Josh Williams? What you got going on?
I got a lot of teaching going on. Also, fairly busy for the rest of the year with Southern Legacy, and loving doing that. The band that I have with Don and Steve Thomas and Mike Anglin, and we have Jody King out with us from North Carolina, a great banjo player. But our actual banjo player is Ron Block, and he's on the road right now with Allison, and you can't not go do that. The amount of money they pull in per year is just, you gotta go, man. Go do that. Don't waste your time with us. Go do that and make your millions, and then when you come back, we'll welcome you back in and we'll pick. So, but the five of us have. And that's another thing that Jody fits in so well with this bunch, because he even has, when we have Ron, it's like this one grand blessed by the Lord type of situation that we all have, and we all love each other, and we play well together, and we get along, and the coming up with stuff, all of the imagination and all of that just comes together so well. But with Jody in it, it brings a slightly different angle, but it's still great, and because he's an exceptional banjo player and guitar player as well, just like Ron is, but it's a different style, and it brings a little bit something different. But the five of us, even six if we do count Jody, we all just have this thing that I've had with few other people ever. I've been close friends with guys that I've traveled with, and even that can be difficult, because you're on the road all the time, and you're there for a job. So maybe or maybe not you get along. The main thing is the music. The other stuff is secondary, but when you don't get along on a lot of fundamental areas, it's not going to last very long. So that's something that we have that I'm so grateful for. Everybody believes in each other. Everybody brings out the best in each other. And we should have a record out in the next couple of months, thankfully, finally getting that thing done and hopefully get that out to the world, and they can become aware of what we're doing as Southern Legacy.
Can't wait. You're the third band member of Southern Legacy I've had on the show.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And I know Mike Anglin from way back too. I always thought the world of his dad, Matt Paul. He had a bluegrass venue in Berea we played at.
Yeah.
And I just thought the world of his dad. I think the world of him too.
Yeah, Mike's great, man. And his wife, Teresa, they both they go above and beyond. And it's not because they're making money doing it. They're doing it because they love what we're doing. And, Teresa loves Mike and she loves all of us and we love her and we couldn't do it without her. Honestly, she does so much for the band without expecting anything in return. And obviously we're all like, we have got to get her on the payroll, because she works so hard. She works harder than anybody does. And she gets the least for it, but they're just all great people.
So you're teaching guitar?
I do. I teach guitar, banjo, mandolin, what I know. I don't try to. Yeah. I've had a lot of people ask for fiddle lessons. I did play fiddle for a little while I was in Special C. Don't do that much anymore, so I don't try to offer those things. But I teach.
You do it online or how?
All the above. I have a place here locally that I teach at. Do private lessons and stuff, but I also do it online. So, working on getting a website together to get all of that kind of all in one place. That'll be, joshwilliamsofficial.com whenever we get that up and going. But honestly, man, people can reach out to me on Facebook and I put them on the schedule and do it over Zoom if I can't meet them in person. And it's going well, man. I enjoy doing it.
So, are you living in Kentucky now?
I am, yeah. I moved back home to far western Kentucky at the end of 2020, and I've been back up here ever since. In fact, when I moved back up here, about 6 months after I got here, I ended up leaving Rhonda's band because I needed more time with my kids, and they were all old enough to where they're in school. I only have the weekends with them. And if I'm gone on the weekends, I didn't have that option of getting to see them, and not seeing them was not an option. So I came off of the road, took a day job for a while, and now I'm back to teaching and playing. But with the Southern Legacy situation, we're all pro family. So if the kids are here and I've got to go play, they go with me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great, man.
So, Josh, just for everybody out there, officially tell them how to locate you for the best music lessons around.
Well, you can reach me on my Facebook. I'm not even sure what my Facebook is, but if you Google me, you'll probably find me. So just message me on Facebook or, hopefully joshwilliamsofficial.com will be up soon. That's where I'm hoping to get everything consolidated in one place. That way, if people want to do that, all they got to do is just remember that, go there, sign up, all that. So,
love it. And then you care to get. I know I don't want you to go through your whole schedule because you're probably bored to death. But what's some of the highlight shows you've got scheduled the rest of the year?
Oh gosh, without looking, I have to. Caught me off guard on that one. I'll have to look, honestly, but that's easily done these days because I've got them right here. This weekend, I'll be performing on the 11th. We'll be in Moorhead, Kentucky. We're actually making up a show that was canceled or postponed at the end of May due to weather. So we'll be up there, and then I'll actually be at Ridge Jam, which is in Blue Ridge, Georgia on August the 1st. And let's see, we'll be at Lockport, Illinois, and then Lafarge, Wisconsin later on in August. In September, latter part of August, I'll be in Canada, so that'll be a fun trip. Then we have a run coming up in September. The 10th will be at Bill Monroe's Festival at the Jerusalem Ridge there in Rosine, Kentucky. And then the Tivoli Theater, which is up in Spencer, Indiana. And then the Backyard Bluegrass Festival, which is in Sullivan, Illinois, on the 12th of September. And that's literally what that is. These people love bluegrass so much, they started a festival in their backyard.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy. But, I mean, hey. And then, of course, we'll be up at the Poppy Mountain Festival there in Moorhead later on in September. And then playing the Nothing Fancy Festival in Buena Vista, Virginia. So that's going to be a busy next couple months. So,
well, Josh, man, it's been such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. I've been a fan of yours longer than you know, and sorry for mixing you up sometimes with Tony Kilby.
No, it's all right. Man. It happens so much. My own mother did that one time.
Okay, I don't feel too bad now.
Yeah, she was trying to get my attention, and Cody and I were at the same place, and he was off playing with some folks, jamming, and she was like trying to get his attention. I walked up behind her. I was like, "What do you need?" She's like, "Oh, I thought that was, and I was like, "That's Cody." She's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that." But yeah, so even my own mother's done it, so it's all right.
I've been redeemed.
That's right. Yeah, all good, man.
All right. Well, hey, one of these days, I want to get you on again sometime, man.
Absolutely.
I'll be listening. Let me know when y'all get your music out.
Definitely.
I think World of Dawn as well, and I'll do anything I can to promote your all's music on my end.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kenneth. Thank you very much.
I've got radio stations now, Josh.
I know, that's great. Yeah,
so we'll play stuff. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, Josh Williams. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kenneth. It's been my
You're
pleasure.
Welcome.